dreams up there after so long?
Well, this has been his dream probably since he was about 7 or 8 years old. He's always loved playing Pokemon, and now that he's having, I mean, he spends countless hours next to that door practicing Pokemon, and to see him have success, it's just really great. But just to see how many friends he's made and what a nice young man he's grown into, it really like fills my heart.
Well, of course, do you have any words of encouragement for your son?
Well, I told him earlier, just do your best and be nice. That's all I ever say. So that's what we're, again, do your best, be nice.
Let's give it up for Brecca and the whole Kowalski family, which are here. I am here, though, alongside Neddy's friend Nino here, making it all the way across the pond for this massive moment. Talk to me what it's like traveling with Neddy, and especially now that Neddy is going up against a deck that is actually made to counterpull Dragapult EX.
So the traveling is always such a fun part of the journey, of the experience. We as a friend group and a testing group also travel to all the European regionals, and also the international champions, and we get the chance to championships. And it's always such a fun experience. We're all supporting Neddy really hard here because he has worked so much to get up to here. I personally met him 2 years ago at in Honolulu at the World Championship. And ever since then, I've seen him grow as a player, as a person as well. And it really shows with the recent results. So I think it's going to pay off for him this time as well.
Well, Nino, there hasn't been a European NAIC champion in quite some time. What do you think it means for Neddy and the whole region of Europe to potentially bring it home?
I think it means the world to him. He's really been practicing so hard for this. He's done countless hours with everybody, testing all the matchups, getting input from people, working really hard. I think he deserves this, and I think he will do it. I believe in him. I don't think the matchup is bad at all. I think it's actually, Neddy is very prepared in it. He has the strategy down to perfection. So I think that, I absolutely believe that he will win this.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Brecca and Nino. Give it up one more time, not only for the supporters of our finalists, but our finalists themselves as they're getting ready to go. Casters, take it away.
Always great to hear from the friends and family, those who have supported these trainers up to this point. The journey is never done alone. And now for these trainers, they are eyeing this trophy. They'll each take home one of these. Who will be the silver medalist and who will take home the gold? James Kowalski on the left, Neddy Kosek on the right. James, of course, representing the North America region. Neddy coming over from Europe. And the first 3 North American International Championships were all won by players from the European region, but the last 4 have been from North America. Will that trend continue for James, or will Neddy fight back for EU?
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Neddy did kind of randomly play against James on Thursday, and James helped him learn this matchup. Now, James may be regretting that as they meet up in the finals. He heard his friend say that Neddy has a strategy for this matchup. We'll see if that has an impact here. I do want to talk about kind of Neddy's journey here. He's had a very strong season, earning over 1,000 championship points, had a top 4 finish at a regional championship, has battled through a lot of adversity just to get here. He actually wasn't registered for this event until kind of the final wave of registration came out, and he barely got into the event. During the event, he actually lost his deck, and another player, Takuya Yoneda, actually turned it in, and he was able to get it back. So there was a moment he didn't even have his deck anymore, and somehow he just kept battling, kept winning, had to overcome, the legend Ross Cawthon in the top 4, and now here he is. Just one more win, and he'll be a champion.
Attempting to claim legendary status are both of these trainers as these opening hands are being drawn. Now James, entering our top cut as the #1 seed, does have the benefit of being able to choose if he would like to go first or second. And as we've seen through this weekend, James's matches against Dragapult, he very much values going first, wanting to be the aggressor, wanting to be the one to attack. And now the prize cards laid out for each of these players. The Lily's Clefairy EX and the prizes. Not too bad for James when he plays 4 copies. Over on Neddy's side, a Dracloak and a pair of Pokepad. Maybe a bit of cause for concern, but nothing too terrible for either of these players.
Yep, should be a pretty clean game. Nothing important in the prize cards. This has to be the highest pressure match either of these two players have been a part of. We see the fist bump, and here we go. Masters Division Finals, James and Neddy. We'll see who comes out on top.
75 minutes on the clock, and James is off to the races with that run errand ability of Mega Kangaskhan in the active position to kick off this game with Lily's Clefairy added to the bench, Psychic Energy attached. Neddy Kosek already holding on to a Crushing Hammer, but Kyle, I do not see a Lily's Determination in his opening hand. I do not see a Buddy Buddy Poffin, 2 of the strongest opening cards.
Yeah, of course, on the first turn of the game, you do want to get those Dreepy into play. This is a stage 2 deck. You need to get your basic Pokemon out, wait a full turn, then evolve into your stage 1, then wait another turn, then into your stage 2 Dragapult EX, which is your main attacker. So it's very important to get those Dreepy down on the first turn, and especially against a pretty aggressive deck like James's that can use that Lily's Clefairy EX and use that full Moon Rondo attack to start taking knockouts. So yeah, you would love to see multiple Dreepy come down here. But really, this card is the core of James's deck, that Lily's Clefairy EX kind of built to target Dragapult EX. That Fairy Zone ability makes it so that Dragon-type Pokemon get a weakness to Psychic-type, and that allows Lily's Clefairy EX to knock out Dragapult EX in one attack.
Dawn, the opening supporter, though, for Neddy. Not exactly how you draw it up, but there is no hand disruption on the side of James Kowalski, so whatever Pokemon Neddy does grab here, he will be guaranteed to hang on to. This supporter allowing him to fetch out 1 basic, 1 stage 1, and 1 stage 2, adding them to the hand, guaranteeing the draw power of Dracloak on turn number 2 of the game. There will be a Dreepy brought out, Dracloak and Dragapult to follow. Now, Neddy's friend Nino told us that he does not feel like this matchup is too bad. You know, James has tailored his deck to be able to handle Dragapult, but Neddy has a lot of powerful tools. Crushing Hammer, Dusknoir, Dusclops, the Cursed Blast ability. Do you have any expectations for how Neddy is going to approach this game, Puka?
Yeah, it feels like that Cursed Blast will be a big part of this. You know, it kind of works out perfectly. You put 13 damage counters onto a Lily's Clefairy EX that leaves it with 60 HP, which means the Phantom Dive from Dragapult EX can put those 6 damage counters on a benched Lily's Clefairy, maybe knock out another one and get 2 at once. So we'll see if that comes up, but again, it takes time and resources to get those stage 2 Pokemon out.
Now an interesting decision here for Neddy, holding on to Crushing Hammer, has the option to play it, try to slow James down, but will choose to hold off. Passing it over now to James as he does go with the run errand ability. He's found himself Prime Catcher early here. He could go aggressive after one of these Dreepy and take it out of play right away. Actually, even being able to save that card as Boss's Orders can be played as his supporter for turn. Targeting down the draw power, down goes Dreepy. James Kowalski striking first. 5 prize cards remaining. Back over to Neddy with 6. Draw for turn. We'll see if he can find some help here. Pheasantippity's flipped the script, not too bad. 3 cards added to the hand since a KO was taken, and there is the ever-important Lily's Determination, and now a pair of Crushing Hammers in his hand.
Yeah, Crushing Hammer, a big part of the Dragapult EX deck these days, but when you use them is very important. And Neddy is deciding now is the right time. We see the first one.
Heads hit, down goes 1 Psychic. Now will the second be played to accompany it? The answer is yes, a double heads here would be massive. Dice falling off to the side, and this one does fall tails.
There's always a temptation when you draw those Crushing Hammers to play them right away, but sometimes it's better to reserve them for more impactful moments. Neddy deciding right now was the right time to try to maybe buy some time because he's under a lot of pressure right now. One of those Dreepy got knocked out, just has the one Dracloak in play. If James has another boss's orders or the Prime Catcher can go after the lone Dracloak in play, that's going to slow Neddy down a lot.
A key piece of Neddy's deck. There are no rare candies in this list. Got to make sacrifices if you're trying to fit Crushing Hammers into your list for a weekend. And so with no rare candies to help with his pair of Stage 2 Pokemon, he will be forced to find a couple Dreepies and attempt to get into multiple Dracloaks. Otherwise, he is at big time risk.
I think maybe another game changer here. Neddy did find his A-Spec card, the Unfair Stamp. And now this will force James to shuffle his hand into his deck and only draw 2 cards. This is a key way to try to slow things down.
The early Unfair Stamp from a Dragabolt player can be so oppressive. James will only get 2 cards, and with the Team Rocket's Watchtower Neddy has put in play as well, James' draw power will be extremely limited. We called it out yesterday during his matches, Puka. He does not play any draw supporters in his deck. He is fully reliant on the powerful colorless Pokemon abilities of Mega Kangaskhan EX and Meowth EX.
You know, James did prepare for this best as he could. He did bench the Pheasantipity EX in advance, put down a Wellspring Mask Ogrepon EX to get a Terra Pokemon in play so that when he draws that Area 0 Underdepths, he'll be able to expand his bench. So very heads up, making sure he got those Pokemon down before the Unfair Stamp, but it's still pretty devastating to go down to 2 cards.
We do see a pair of Dreepy found for Neddy off of the Unfair Stamp. Buddy Poffin bringing those Pokemon into play, and I do believe Puka the draw on James's end did have the Stadium Bump, so at a minimum here, he'll be able to retreat and use a run errand to try to refill his hand. Maybe a slow turn, though, for James Kowalski. Neddy just trying to hold on, brace for impact, hope that he can make it through another turn with this Dracloak staying into play. Still a Recon Directive to utilize. Ultra Ball and the Dragapult EX, both offerings here. Dragapult EX already in hand, along with another energy card, Lily's Determination, so we'll choose to hang on to the Ultra Ball.
Drawing a Stadium for James is big as well because Neddy only plays 1 Team Rocket's Watchtower, and all right, energy card drawn.
Psychic energy here. Now he maybe doesn't have to replace the Stadium, can hold off for a turn, guarantee that second Watchtower won't come down for Neddy. He knows that Neddy has no way to disrupt him here now that Unfair Stamp is gone. Special red card not yet active. So James Kowalski will continue to push ahead, taking another prize card, but Neddy happy to promote the Dracloak here. James's board still not very set up. Neddy only a Fire Energy and Dragapult EX away from taking down Lily's Clefairy.
I think, like you mentioned, Chip, maybe a sneaky move from James, not countering this Stadium here. Maybe feigning weakness a bit. Neddy might think he can be pretty aggressive here, might be safe, thinking that there won't be any run errand if he knocks out this active Lily's Clefairy EX, but James already knows if Neddy decides to attack into this, he'll be able to get rid of that Stadium card, use Run Errand, use Flip the Script, and have a pretty decent shot of finding another Pokemon to power up on the following turn.
Recon Directive from Neddy does find yet another Dracloak, thinking of evolving up here and using perhaps Lily's Determination to refresh his hand. Still yet to take a prize card is Neddy Kosek, so he'll get the benefit of the full 8 cards from a Lily's play. Now Pokepad played, searching out any Pokemon without a rule box. Another Dracloak will join the party. And perhaps we will see an evolution plus some draw support here on Neddy's end. Does still need a Fire Energy. He will thin out his hand a bit. Ultra Ball losing a bit of value now that he has gotten himself pretty nicely set up. Does find out the Dusclops perhaps preparing for a Dusknoir in the future. We do see the handheld fan going down. Another way that Neddy can control energy cards. A little less impactful in this matchup perhaps than others. So happy to drop that down in Lily's Determination after a full thin for Neddy. He'll get 8 cards. He'll see 4 more with Recon Directives, very high odds to see a Fire Energy and get off this attack.
Yeah, Neddy has pretty much stabilized completely at this point. The multiple Recon Directives, yeah, flip the script, Dragapult EX. He is about to get powered up here. And yeah, threatening Dusk Noir on the next turn as well with the big Cursed Blast. This can set up some pretty devastating plays. At this point, I think he's just kind of hoping James is a very small hand. Maybe there won't be an attack coming on the following turn, but even if there is, Neddy's given himself a pretty good setup to be able to respond.
No sweat at all for Neddy Kosek as Fire Energy offered up immediately from his Lily's Determination. This Lily's Clefairy will be going down here. James Kowalski unable to find that Lily's Pearl, which we've talked about in his deck through the weekend. That would be a way that this Lily's would only give up 1 prize card. Now, the full 2 added for Neddy to his prize map. He'll tie the game up after this turn, not before the play of a Buddy Poffin, just to search the deck and make sure there's nothing else in here he would like to grab out.
I think the only awkward thing for Neddy here is all of the energy in play are on this active Dragapult EX. So if it gets knocked out, he would need something like Crispin in order to power up the next one. That means you can't play Boss's Orders in the same turn, which is a big way you would kind of combo with the Dusk Noir if you could go after a Pokemon on the bench, plus get 13 damage counters, the Lily's Clefairy, Phantom Dive, knock that out. But because you'd have to play Crispin to power up the next one, that won't be as easy. So I don't know, what James is able to pull off on the next turn will be a really big deal in this game.
We do finally see the Recon Directive from Neddy, adding a Boss's Orders to his hand should James stumble and be unable to take out this Dragapult. Another draw from Neddy. Finds a Crushing Hammer, happy to keep that in the hand. Obviously doesn't want to play it into this Lily's Clefairy as it will be going down. I hear that's a good way to get rid of your opponent's energy, just knocking the Pokemon out. So hanging on to these Crushing Hammers could prepare nicely for any sort of Wondrous Patch set up plays on James's end. Cannot evolve that Dusclops as it did just come into play this turn, noted by James Kowalski. And another Duskull hits the bench on Neddy's side.
All right, so we'll certainly see the Phantom Dive here from Neddy. Have to imagine some damage counters will be placed, probably 1 on some of those Pokemon EX that have 210 HP to make them good targets for the next turn. That's the main thing. You want to make sure next turn you can Boss's Orders and knock out one of these Pokemon EX, and then try to set up for that play. Cursed Blast from the Dusk Noir onto the Lily's Clefairy, knock out a different Pokemon EX, take 4 prize cards to close out the game.
Neddy just deciding here how he would like to distribute these Phantom Dive damage counters. 1 onto the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon, 2 onto Fezandipity EX, 1 more onto Latias, and it looks like the remaining 2 just go to Fezandipity. James here after the bluff last turn, not replacing the stadium, happy to promote Mega Kangaskhan EX and get that Team Rocket's Watchtower now out of play. Flip the script online after the KO. 3 cards added here for James Kowalski. We see the Crispin. We see his signature Dusk Ball as well in the hand.
Need to find that Lily's Clefairy.
A big piece that he needs to see here. Bottom 7 cards of the deck looked at here. With 1 already KO'd, 1 in the prize cards. There are only 2 Clefairy in the deck. Oh, and he does not find one here. Chen Pao and another Latias EX are the offerings. He does not have Clefairy just yet. And in this hand, the only way to get one would be, and pull off an attack this turn, looks like it would be using Run Errand to draw into the Clefairy. This could be a big miss here for James and would totally swing the tides of this game.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much this. You have to run errand and find a way to get Lily's Clefairy EX. If not, I'm not sure what James can do on this turn.
2 Lily's Clefairy in the deck, 3 Dusk Ball, some counts of Ultra Balls still remain. There is actually 1 Dusk Ball prized. Those are all outs here for James to continue to have a shot to find his Clefairy. Crispin is already available. That is already a piece of the puzzle he has access to. The only missing piece here is finding the Lily's Clefairy.
Yeah, telepathic psychic energy would also work. You can attach that to Latias EX. Well, I guess it doesn't quite work, right? You would also need maybe a Wondrous Patch to go with that, because you have the Crispin in hand as well. Let's see, this is a big 2 cards.
A huge 2 cards, potentially deciding game number 1 are these 2 cards, and Puka, I do not think he has found it. Area 0 Underdepths and another Crispin. Now, it's not necessarily over here for James. Kangaskhan EX with a massive 300 hit points can, in theory, tank a hit, but he did just watch his opponent place Dusknoir into hand. He's not going to be disrupting this Dragapult, meaning Boss's Orders is on the line for Neddy on this following turn. And Neddy can sit back and relax for a moment as Crispin is played here, not to power up a Lily's Clefairy, but to power up something else.
Yeah, seems like things are falling apart for James in this first game. I don't think there's an attack available at all. We'll just have to pass the turn. And this is where Dragapult is at its best. It has access to those recon directives to keep sifting through the deck, finding those crucial cards here. And you have to think the door is closing here. Honestly, with the Dusknoir in hand, it's just Boss's Orders. And that's probably going to end our first game.
Yeah, Boss's Orders would close things out here for Neddy. He can bring up that Wellspring Mask Ogerpon and use Curse Blast to place 13 damage counters onto Pheasantipity EX. Bringing up Latias works just as well. And Neddy Kosek has won game 1 at the NAIC Finals.
Calm, cool, collected for Neddy in the first game. James got a quick Lily's Clefairy EX, got a few prize cards. Neddy only got a couple Dreepy down on the first turn, but it was enough. The unfair stamp found at the perfect time to protect the one Dracloak bought Neddy the turn he needed and was able to disrupt James enough. Just took a few Phantom dives, and that was the game.
Yeah, let's bring Pablo Meza in here, giving his thoughts on this game. Tablemon, what did you think were the key moments of that game 1?
It's all about the unfair stamp, right? Having it at the right moment. It's a 1 copy. It's unsearchable, of course, but if you happen to have it early on, it's just so powerful. The longer the game goes on, the longer James has to establish a solid board and have those responses to the Dragapult. It's going to be hard for Neddy to take away a game, but if you have that early on for stamp and there's only one Lily's Clefairy to deal with immediately, that's where things start spiraling out of control against James. Maybe that practice game that you guys mentioned had earlier on in the week coming into place here.
James will have the option here in game 2 as the loser to choose first or second here. Has stuck with his plans here. Going first is his strategy for this matchup. And Neddy's crushing hammers as well, limiting James perhaps from getting multiple energy cards established onto the bench. I do wonder maybe if on that turn, if James had retreated the Lily's Clefairy, used Kangaskhan for a turn, set up his Latias perhaps with a Crispin that he would have drawn, maybe that could have been a more interesting line. But now we'll move forward into this game number 2 and see if James can get us off to the races. He once again does begin with that Mega Kangaskhan EX and that signature Duskball coming down into play, looking at the bottom 7 cards of the deck. Searching for a Pokemon. Latias offered up right away, providing mobility to this deck full of basic Pokemon.
Yeah, you also have to wonder what would have happened if James had found Lily's Clefairy off of the Duskball in the first game. Perhaps that is the margin that could be the difference.
Ooh, and an interesting play here, Puka, as James does have Lily's Clefairy EX in hand, but has chosen to bench Pheasantipity and attach the energy for turn there.
Yeah, really lining up that cruel arrow attack. And this is really annoying for Dragapult to deal with sometimes. You think of Pheasantipity EX as kind of a support Pokemon using the Flip the Script ability to draw extra cards. But it can attack as well. 100 damage may not seem like a lot these days, but when you have a lot of these low HP Pokemon that evolve into much bigger Pokemon EX, you can knock out a Dreepy, you can knock out a Dracloak. And if your opponent is only getting one down or putting their energy onto one of them, you can keep knocking those out and make life very difficult for your opponent.
James here certainly not missing the cruel arrow play, lining himself up there to target down Neddy's board. Now, Neddy in game one did choose to hold off on the opening Crushing Hammer he found. I do have to wonder now, though, were he to find Crushing Hammer, is he much more scared of the Pheasantipity than he was of Lily's Clefairy EX?
All right, Neddy off to a pretty good start so far. Finding lots of basic Pokemon with the Buddy Buddy Poffin, a couple Pokepads now. Didn't have a supporter card in the first game on the first turn, but let's see what his hand holds this time.
His board certainly looking pretty strong. Basically all of his options available with a Duskull already out. He did prize a Dusclops in this game, but does play the 2-2-1 line that we've seen become pretty standardized in these Polt Nor builds. Lots of item cards being played here to search out Pokemon, but is there a supporter to go alongside it? Attachment of a Darkness Energy for turn, and the shuffle of the deck here from Neddy, perhaps telling no Lily's Determination on his opening turn.
I also noticed on James's turn, he debated playing down Meowth EX in advance. We see that sometimes where players are playing around the Team Rocket's Watchtower, so you use that last-ditch catch ability to find a supporter card just in case. But I think James realized my opponent only plays one Team Rocket's Watchtower. They're going to save it for the turn where they play Unfair Stamp, special red card. So it's actually very unlikely that my opponent would do that.
James does find another Meowth EX for turn. I think he already had one, so we'll utilize this second one available with the last ditch catch, fetching out a supporter card, adding to the hand, and with the attachment of energy last turn to the Pheasantipity EX, it does seem like Crispin into a cruel arrow play is lined up. He'll be able to target down one of these Dreepy on Neddy's bench. We talked about it yesterday in James' top 4 match up against Justin Neudorf, how Badoo, while yes, always a little irritating to deal with, not super strong against James's build.
Yeah, very supporter-based engine of this deck. Not necessarily to draw cards, but to help you set up. And a lot of it is just finding Crispin and finding the basic Pokemon to power up with Crispin. So yeah, Itchy Pollen, don't get me wrong, still pretty annoying to deal with. You would love to be able to play your item cards, but yeah, not super impactful.
Crispin attaches the Fire Energy, fighting to the hand. Will be brought down as well. Cruel Arrow ready to target down the board. Area Zero Underdepths and the Terra Koraidon EX brought to the front of James's hand, perhaps preparing for a potential Unfair Stamp once again, should Neddy be fortunate enough to find one early on. He will play around that potential by expanding his bench, putting down the Lily's Clefairy EX, and even putting down the second Pheasantipity EX that he plays, and he does take down a Dreepy, striking first in game 2 once again.
And now James, of course, just hoping that there's no Unfair Stamp like there was in the first game, that A-Spec card, hoping to dodge things like Crushing Hammer as well.
Quite a bit of thinning drawn here from Neddy, a pair of Pokepad. I believe that is all 4 of his Pokepad found by turn number 2 of this game. Really ideal draw and setup. Already another Dracloak coming down. Be able to thin out a couple of more Pokemon. Perhaps another Dreepy could join the party here to make up for the one that James was able to be rid of on the last turn. And now for Neddy, if he's unable to find any sort of Crushing Hammers to slow James down as well, he will have to be wary of where he attaches his energy for this turn. Does he even want to put an energy card into play? Because that becomes a very easy target next turn.
Yeah, it's a turn where you almost want to have Crispin, so you can put an energy on each of your Dracloak, and then make it so that if one of them gets knocked out, you have the other one ready to power up to be a Dragapult EX on the following turn. Also want to call out, just again, small things James is doing to kind of play around some things that could happen here. You saw the proactive Area 0 under depths and benching a bunch of Pokemon. I think has a couple different purposes here. Number one, if Neddy decides to get rid of the Stadium card, then James can discard that Meowth EX, which is kind of a big liability, very easy to knock out. And then also just gets a lot of cards out of his hand that he probably wouldn't want to draw off of an unfair stamp.
The first recon directive on Neddy's end does find him the Crispin, which you alluded to, and now gives him pause before the use of that second Dracloak. Perhaps will pull those energy cards out of his deck right now, but no, we'll go with that recon directive, looking for a little bit more. There is the Dusknoir, but also a Crushing Hammer, which he will choose to hang on to. He, most importantly here, did not find the unfair stamp this turn, but is able to at least guarantee those attachments. He does have a Psychic Energy in hand here as well, Puka.
I can't resist the allure of that gold Crushing Hammer. It's brought Neddy such great success so far. One of the big reasons he was able to take down Ross Cawthon in the top 4. You gotta wonder when he's gonna play that Crushing Hammer. Will it be right now to try to slow James down a little bit? Will he wait until he can pair it with something like the unfair stamp for hand disruption? Yeah, just spreading the energy out. Again, you know one of these will get knocked out by Cruel Arrow, but this puts you in a position to have a Dragapult EX ready for the following turn.
Wisely here as well, attaching the 2 Psychic Energy, holding on to the Fire Energy grabbed off Crispin. So now, regardless of which one of these 2 Pokemon is KO'd, Neddy can guaranteed power it up with that Fire already in hand. And it's also worth remembering that this 10 damage that will be coming from the Itchy Pollen here is very relevant, putting Pheasantipity down to just 200 HP remaining.
Perhaps it looks like we're going to get into a pretty interesting game once again. Despite the quick Cruel Arrow, Neddy has been able, and whoa, did he say no attack?
Pass is the play here from Neddy. Kosek. What do we make of this here, Puka?
It's very interesting. I need a second to think about that, Chip. I think it might be a situation where, you often actually don't want to knock out Pheasantipity EX in one hit with Phantom Dive, because you would rather keep it on the board and then set up kind of like a big board wipe play later. So maybe that 10 damage might get in the way. Not sure. I know, I've seen so many Itchy Pollens, it feels wrong to not use it.
Yeah. Very heads up there from Neddy. If that is the line, he will go down. Do you see James will take a moment to attach an energy to the Lily's Clefairy, and he will use Cruel Arrow, this time targeting down Dusclops, but also here, Puka, he did use a boss's orders not to be aggressive for a KO, but to perhaps slow Neddy down with the Pheasantipity EX in the active spot.
Yeah, Neddy just used a Crispin, and now we'll need to find another one in order to both retreat and power up Dragapult EX. Just make things a little more difficult.
And he's also not able to Crispin and Boss in a turn, so James knows that Lily's Clefairy EX on his bench is safe. He also knows his Pheasantipity EX is not going to be KO'd since it was not 10 damage placed on it. There is a recon directive here for Neddy. There's Ultra Ball, which can find that Dragapult, but second Crispin here needed if he wants to make an attack. He doesn't have it just yet. He does have Ultra Ball, which can find out the Meowth EX, but no, Kyle, he cannot find Meowth. It is in his prize cards.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty difficult to find another Crispin here, and I think everything's been used at this point, but here comes a Crushing Hammer.
These flips are huge, and that one does land Tails. Neddy unable to remove an energy from play, attempts once again, evens heads, tails odds, and that heads does roll as a water energy does go down from that Lily's Clefairy EX.
Yeah, anything to try to slow down James's momentum. Once James gets up to enough energy cards in play, gets enough attackers set up, it's not necessarily over, but it's hard to fight back if James has multiple Lily's Clefairy EX powered up into the late game. So anytime you can just discard an energy, make it so that James will need one more resource to pull off a final attack, you got to go for it.
And that boss's play was huge for James, and I think Neddy here just fully confirming, yes, Meowth EX is prized. He can have Ultra Ball. He could have Ultra Balled for Dragapult, Ultra Balled for Meowth, and pulled off the play he wanted to, but it is not going to be available. Instead, Ultra Ball will find Dracloak. What is going to help Neddy here in this position?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be disappointing, but yeah, now I guess Recon Directive, got to find Crispin.
Maybe Unfair Stamp.
Yeah, Unfair Stamp would be great as well. Big 2 cards.
There is a Crushing Hammer, and there is the Watchtower. 2 very powerful cards, but don't think they're exactly what Neddy wanted this turn. Now a tilt of the head as he has to reevaluate. That special red card in hand, not live. Can only play that card when your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards remaining. James having just taken the 2 single prize KOs, not lined up for that just yet.
Yeah, and it's awkward as well. You can, I guess, attach to your active Pheasantipity EX, so that next turn you can prep it to retreat. But, you know, the Cruel Arrow just makes it so awkward. Yeah, you can attach a second energy here. You're going to have to evolve into Dragapult to protect that Dracloak, though.
And he's going to need to find it here off of Lily's Determination, because if he does not, James will just be able to shoot down that Dracloak here. 90 HP on it, 100 damage from the Cruel Arrow, 2 energies going down. It's 6 cards here to come for Neddy. Actually, no, still the full 8. No prize cards yet taken, so I think all 3 Dragapult EX are available. Still a couple of Ultra Ball. He's going to see a good percentage of his deck here. Let's see if one of these 8 cards finds him an out to Dragapult EX.
Big 8 cards here.
Don't see it just yet there, and he does actually find Ultra Ball, but also another piece in that Unfair Stamp.
Exactly.
Though now that he's not attacking this turn, do you think he will use it?
It's a good question. Feels like, I don't know, you might want to wait for a more impactful turn, but your opponent has a decent number of cards in hand. And if they played like a Crispin, that could power up the Lily's Clefairy. So yeah, just play the Unfair Stamp. Hope that your opponent doesn't draw anything good off of this. You know there's not going to be any draw power. You're not going to knock anything out, so there's no flip the script. The Mega Kangaskhan EX, not in the active spot. Even if it were, there's Team Rocket's Watchtower, so this could be big for slowing James down. I also want to call out that James decided to go after the Dusclops with the previous Cruel Arrow, kind of knowing that he would be able to attack with Pheasantipity EX one more time and effectively make it so that Dusknoir can't be used in this game. If James can get one more knockout, go down to 3 prize cards, would then just need to knock out a Dragapult EX and make the Dusknoir useless in this game. So combining it with the boss's orders, may have kind of calculated this and known that, okay, I'm actually going to take away this option because of how this is playing out.
Buddy Buddy Poffin on Neddy's end does bring down a Duskull, perhaps not to be utilized for Curse Blast, but just thinning it out of the deck, increasing his good draw options, and does not look like James has much, but all he needs is the attack. No energy drop this turn, though, for James. Is a big opening here for Neddy.
Yeah, that hand looked very bad. Did have Lily's Pearl, does have an Ultra Ball, but with the Team Rocket's Watchtower, can't get Meowth EX to use that last-ditch catch. Also no bench space anymore because the Area 0 under depths is gone. Is this Neddy's moment to start mounting a comeback?
He's going to begin this turn with a flip the script of the Pheasantipity EX. Does have Crispin available here in the hand. Attach an energy to the active as well. Can retreat it. Could he find boss's orders here to maybe take out the Lily's Clefairy, even though there's no energy on it? It is just a simple Crispin away from one-hit KOing his Pokemon. No, it will be the Crispin utilized as supporter for turn. Bringing out a basic Darkness energy to the active Pheasantipity, attaching from hand that Fire energy after pulling it out of the deck.
And let's remember back to when Neddy decided not to use Badoo's Itchy Pollen. That would have put 10 damage on this Pheasantipity EX, and then Phantom Dive would have knocked it out. And that means James would have been able to use Flip the Script with the other Pheasantipity EX. So this may have been the scenario he was preparing for. When he uses the first Phantom Dive, he wants to avoid taking a knockout, rather saving those damage counters for later so that he can knock out multiple Pokemon at once.
It's all lined up here for Neddy, even getting second Dragapult EX into play, protecting that Dracloak from the Cruel Arrow, protecting his energy investment. Checking a resource or two from the discard pile, maybe thinking of bringing back the Dusclops, and he will do just that.
I think he just benched the Duskull, right?
No, that was at the very end of his last turn. He used Buddy Buddy Poffin to bring it out, so he is able to evolve this here if he'd like to. Looks like he will think better of it, though, and decides to grab a basic Psychic Energy instead.
All right, things are going to get tense here as we kind of move into the end game of game number 2 here in the finals.
These cards in hand here for James Kowalski, extremely important. No draw power available at the moment. Neddy lays 200 damage into this active Pheasantipity, will sprinkle some counters onto the bench, one apiece onto Latias and Pheasantipity. Looks like the Koraidon EX getting a ping of 3, and now just one more still to play with. We'll place it onto that Pheasantipity and draw for turn on James Kowalski's end.
I think the good news for James is he won't lose in like one more attack, right? He's going to get multiple turns in this game. It's going to be, I mean, awkward for sure. That hand doesn't look very good.
He does have a boss's orders should he want to try to slow Neddy down again. Ask Eddie for yet another energy commitment to retreat a Pokemon. It does look like boss's orders is the play, bringing back up that Pheasantipity to the active spot. Cruel Arrow can still net a prize card here for All Out Blitzel. Down goes that Duskull from the board. Now just 2 prize cards remaining, a single energy and attack into Dragapult away from James, tying up this final match. Neddy with the Pheasantipity in the active spot, uses his Ultra Ball, takes a peek at the available resources. Just about 7 cards remaining in the deck. There are 2 Crushing Hammers amongst them, but he does not have any draw power left on board through Dracloaks. He's going to be fully relying on Pheasantipity to get into those cards.
Yeah, I think for Neddy, what you're going for here is Crushing Hammer, try to get that energy off of the Lily's Clefairy, then boss's orders, the other Pheasantipity EX to knock both of them out. Then there won't be any Flip the Script. Leave your opponent with a very small hand, no access to the run errand because of the Watchtower.
And we do see the ever-important Judge Shuffle coming in, requested by James, knowing how important this moment is. And Neddy will use this Flip the Script here. Energy already in hand from the Night Stretcher last turn. Pheasantipity able to move to the bench. Just the Crushing Hammers, what he looks for.
The Lily's Pearl also pretty annoying for Neddy to deal with. Could have taken a different route where he could go after the Lily's Clefairy, but now it's only going to give 1 prize card here.
Counting the deck, 7 cards remain. Thinking through the math, perhaps, between using Flip the Script now or playing Lily's Determination first. Crushing Hammer, the big piece of this puzzle, and it does look like Lily's will be his play.
What was that Judge Shuffle for?
That's a good question. Does look like a warning has been issued here to Neddy for pace of play in this game. Something we will keep track of course. Simply a warning up to this point, but should he receive another, that could escalate into a penalty in the future. 3 cards here. There are both of the remaining Crushing Hammer. No need for the Flip the Script.
You draw 8. Oh, heads on the Crushing Hammer.
He does hit heads on the Crushing Hammer. Yes, he does indeed need to draw a couple more cards here. He does have 6 remaining, so we'll draw 2 more from the Lily's Determination. No harm, no foul, just 2 cards remaining now in the deck. And does hit the heads on the Crushing.
Getting a little low on cards in deck.
He is, and that is maybe a cause for concern. And we're actually going to see the move into the Badoo here to take this KO. Itchy Pollen now utilized, cutting James off again from use of his items. Up comes the Mega Kangaskhan, drawing for turn is James Kowalski. Flip the script online, not able to use Run Errand at this moment, and does not find a counter stadium. Ultra Ball normally would be able to find Chien Pao in order to bump this stadium card, but not available after the use of Itchy Pollen. Crispin, though, is in the hand, but he cannot use Crispin and Boss in the same turn. Does he really want to invest 2 energy in order to KO this Badoo?
And Neddy, knowing that James has Prime Catcher as the ace spec in his deck as well, so the Itchy Pollen will shut that off and make sure that James cannot get 2 prize cards on this turn. And now, what's the plan? Do you just Crispin onto the Lily's Clefairy EX and just leave it on your bench? Prepare for next turn?
Koraidon could technically KO the active Badoo as well if he wanted to invest 2 energy there, but that would just force him to find Crispin on the next turn. KOing this Badoo.
I don't think that does a whole lot.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it would do much at this point, so we'll just attach the Psychic here. I think Neddy has used all of his Crushing Hammers. We can get a quick check of the discard pile.
There might be
or is
one
there
left.
one still remaining? No, 3 down. Yes, that's right. That one is in his hand currently, waiting to perhaps disrupt this Lily's Clefairy EX. That Pearl here, very important as well to protect this Pokemon.
All right, what is the plan for James?
He can attach an energy for turn to the Koraidon perhaps, so that he can win the game by actually KOing Pheasantipity through a Gust effect, using that powerful attack. Boosted damage after your opponent takes a KO, but no, he will fully power up this Lily's Clefairy, totally investing in this Pokemon.
I think it makes sense. Make your opponent have boss's orders to go after it, and when they do, they're only going to get 1 prize card.
And now a debate here perhaps from James. Should he retreat into another Pokemon? No, will choose to just pass. And Neddy is very low on cards at this point. And there is Crushing Hammer in his hand. His final one. Is now the time to play it? The answer is yes. The flip is heads.
Again.
And Psychic Energy goes down yet again. Just asking James for more and more every single turn. We do know the Water Energy is waiting in the hand for James, so Neddy will respond by utilizing the special red card, sending it to the bottom of the deck. James will only get 3 cards to work with, but this does get him closer to perhaps a Stadium card, which he does find. So Run Errand will be unlocked.
Yeah, I think because of there's only 1 card left in Neddy's deck, he's kind of forced to be aggressive here. Otherwise, he is potentially in risk of decking out. So may have just played the special red card. He's going to Phantom Dive and set up for a big turn on the following turn.
But I don't think he can take 4 prize cards next turn, can he, Puka?
I don't see a way to do that. No, that's a good point, unless he can get a Dusclops out.
And that is what he will do through the use of a Night Stretcher. Down comes that Duskull, looking to get into Dusclops next turn.
It would be, yeah, pretty much
exact
perfect.
math to KO a Kangaskhan on the next turn on the bench. He'll hit it for 200 here. He'll be able to put 50 on it with a use of that Duskull, and he'll be able to clean up and take a 4 prize, effectively 5 prize turn with the Mega Pokemon.
For James, it's just you need an energy card to win the game.
Energy is game here. He does not have it in hand currently, but he does have the replacement stadium. He does have Mega Kangaskhan. He'll draw himself a couple of cards and 1 energy card, all he needs.
We'll also see it, a Cypher Maniac's code breaking, but a Meowth EX as well. Many ways to find an energy card.
And this is going to line up for James Kowalski to tie up our set. We're going to Game 3 at NAIC.
All right, 1 game now to decide it all.
Many
James.
ways for James to have closed out that last sequence. Cypher Maniac in order to stack the energy on top, the Meowth for Crispin, all of them leading to his win. Neddy being forced to play aggressively, as you mentioned, Puka. Not quite able to piece together the full win. And now Neddy, for the first time in this final match, will have the option, first or second. he'll get that opening turn should he want it.
Yeah, and strangely enough, having to draw 8 cards may have been the difference there. Pablo, what did you see in that one?
That early Fezandipity, of course, the unsung hero of this. We talked so much about Clefairy and the threat of Wellspring Ogerpon, but maybe that early Fezandipity is the way to go, right? Deny energy, then you don't have to reset your whole attack, so you take one less prize card than Wellspring, but that consistent threat, that consistent pressure, that really got James past the finish line in this one, and I would not be surprised if we see it once more.
And there it is, that early cruel arrow play, taking out Dreepy after Dreepy, and then into Dusclops going down. James jumping far ahead, certainly the aggressor. Neddy trying to find a way back in. The boss's orders play from James also huge in this game in order to slow Neddy down, ask him for more energy resources in order to get into his attacks every single turn. Fezandipity EX, the all-star here, all leading to a Lily's Clefairy closeout.
Yeah, and again, you have to wonder, drawing 8 off the Lily's Determination, did that ruin Neddy's plans there? Didn't have enough cards left in deck. Rare situation where you would actually want to only draw 6 cards, but that's all in the past now. And oh, Neddy starts with Meowth in the 3rd game.
That is not what he wants to see in his active spot. And looking at the prize cards here, 2 Dreepy, unfair stamp, incredibly important pieces unavailable. Over on James's end, that Prime Catcher A-Spec hiding away.
Neither player's having their A-Spec card for this one, Chip.
Gonna be a fair game here, game 3 of the finals. No unfair stamps on Neddy's end, but I think most impactfully here, Puka, the 2 Dreepy being in the prizes is really going to slow his setup, and after an energy attachment, he does pass it over to James Kowalski.
Yeah, was only able to get 1 Dreepy down this turn as well. This could be a situation where James's Fezandipity strategy is very effective once again.
Dusk Ball played as James lead here. Bottom 7 cards of the deck, looking for any Pokemon. Looks like Fezandipity was found. A very fortunate find with that 2nd copy in the prize cards.
Dusk Ball delivers.
Finds him the exact Pokemon he may have been looking for. Just a quick note as we do get into this game. Between games, Neddy was reminded by the judges about his pace of play. So should he receive another caution or warning, it would be escalated to a penalty for game 3.
James going with a Meowth EX of his own, the last ditch catch. Do want to note, Neddy started with the Meowth EX and just had a handful of Ultra Balls, but is not able to Ultra Ball for Meowth EX because it was his starting Pokemon. This is a pretty difficult situation for Neddy here, but for James, looks like things are starting off pretty well.
Pretty well indeed as Meowth EX played. Last ditch catch can find the Crispin as the supporter for turn. Now just a debate of the energy cards to be attached. Water energy pulled out, certainly, and now a psychic energy as well added here to the hand.
Yeah, kind of imagine probably going on to Fezandipity EX once again.
And James is going to feel even safer with this play as Neddy discarded a Crushing Hammer on his opening turn from Ultra Ball.
Absolutely. And even if 1 Crushing Hammer hits, he could just play another Crispin on the following turn to power up that Cruel Arrow. Now, one thing that is missing here is the Latias EX to allow the Mega Kangaskhan to retreat on the following turn.
James has done all of this as well, Puka, and has not yet used his run errand on Mega Kangaskhan. There's still a couple of cards here he will draw. He's also got access to the Dusk Ball in his hand, but for now, we'll just draw a couple, and Latias EX added now. Could even perhaps split up energy attachments if he wants to, 1 on Lily's Clefairy, 1 on Fezandipity, but it does seem like the Fezandipity game plan is a solid one. Dusk Ball looking at the bottom 7 again. Does find himself plenty of Pokemon. Another Latias EX. Sure, why not? Feel free to join the party.
Of course, James playing 3 Latias EX. Kind of the philosophy of this deck is just play a lot of copies of the cards that make your deck work 4 Mega Kangaskhan EX, 4 Meowth, 4 Lily's Clefairy, 3 Latias EX, even the double Pheasantipede EX, just so you can find them off of this Dusk Ball. You can see it all in action here.
Everything going according to plan here for James, and Neddy will perhaps need to pivot his plan based on this opening. What is he going to be able to do? Latias
Big
EX
draw for
comes
Neddy.
down. Neddy needs something here. Ultra Ball is the top deck, and that is not going to help him here.
Oh, no.
He can Ultra Ball for Dracloak, and then Dracloak hope to find something, but
He's got to find Lily's Determination. What else could he even get here?
Lily's Determination is the only out here for Neddy to stay in this game. Down goes a boss's orders, and now a debate of this final discard. Does he want to hang on to the potential of the Crushing Hammer, or does he get rid of this second Ultra Ball? It does look like he's going to give up on the hammer. You can tell how painful that is.
I think it might be one recon directive here. It's got to be Lily's Determination. You know, the other thing, maybe a Buddy Poffin. But it really feels like gotta find a supporter card here. The options are just so limited at this point.
4 copies in the deck, none in the prize cards. He's gonna see 2 cards here right off the top, and this could make or break this event for Neddy. And no, he does not find it. No other basic Pokemon either, Puka. Just a Dragapult EX, and all he can do is pass. The opening is there for James Kowalski. Cruel Arrow can target down Neddy's board and leave him with simply a Meowth EX in play. A completely unusable hand. And this is all lining up for James Kowalski. Bench of the Lily's Clefairy EX into the Lily's Pearl. Down goes Dracloak. Draw for turn on Neddy's end. And there is the Lily's Determination top deck.
Is it a turn too late, though? Remember, Chip, there are 2 Dreepy in the prize cards as well. This Pheasantipede is going to be so oppressive for Neddy to deal with. He won't be able to bench 3 at the same time.
If he benches 2 Dreepy, 1 gets KO'd. Next turn, he gets to evolve into a Dracloak. And then he would need to find Night Stretch to get Dreepy back, but then the Dracloak would just get sniped down again.
Exactly. All out Blitzel, all in on this Pheasantipede EX, and it might carry him to a championship here.
8 cards from the Lily's Determination. Neddy's not going to go down easily. He's going to give it as good of a fight as he can. There is a Buddy Poffin to find that 3rd Dreepy, but benching it just walks right into the Pheasantipede attack. What else can he do, though?
Yeah, did find a Night Stretcher to go with it so can get back the 2nd Dreepy. Gotta wonder if this is a spot where you need to try to Mind Bend with a Monkey Dory, something like that.
Try to just brace for impact here. It's a back against the wall situation for Neddy, not too dissimilar from his top 4 match against Ross Cawthon, where he seemed so far behind, found a way to stabilize and get back into the game. The situation, though, here looking much more bleak. There's no boss stall options. Latias EX providing free retreats. He's just going to have to try to manage his board in a way that he can withstand this Pheasantipede, and it may be too tough.
Yeah, one of the ways Neddy maybe could have had a chance still was enough Crushing Hammers to slow down this Pheasantipede, maybe make it miss an attack 1 turn, but he already has discarded 2 of them. So would need to maybe find his last 2 and probably hit heads on both, just to maybe buy a turn where the Cruel Arrow can't hit one of these Dreepy or Dracloak.
It's going to have to be Monkey Dory or the 2 remaining Crushing Hammers. Losing out on those hammers, so brutal for Neddy. He is going to find one.
It's got to be heads.
He needs it.
It's tails.
It does fall tails here. That is a huge sigh of relief for James and the crowd who roots him on, attaching 1 more energy to this Pheasantipede as James Kowalski, being as careful as he possibly can. He knows this situation is very Good for him, but it is not over just yet. He will take out a Dreepy. He will take another prize card. Neddy will draw for his turn. 4 prizes remaining for James. Full 6 still for Neddy. Evolving into Dracloak does provide that recon directive. But
Really didn't think we'd be here, Chip. In the finals, the 3rd game of 4 energy Pheasantipity EX is what's pressuring Neddy and perhaps taking James to a championship. What a sight to behold here.
Neddy really probably needed to find either an energy attachment to Pheasant or to the active Meowth EX last turn, or an energy attachment to a Monkey Dory. Confuse this Pheasantipity, slow it down, but Monkey Dory in his prize cards means that he has no other play available. This is really almost just this Pheasantipity, a checkmate situation. We're running out of lines here, Puka. No unfair stamp available. What can Neddy do?
I'm not seeing it. I don't know what there is for Neddy in this situation. The combination of the prize cards, the brutal opening hand, starting with the Meowth EX, the quick attack from Pheasantipity.
Is there some way I can slow this thing down? Reading his handheld fan that he has in hand, not going to work. Handheld fan only works whenever it's attached to the active Pokemon, and that Pokemon is damaged by an attack. James, of course, can get around the Meowth EX, so fan goes down to this Ultra Ball.
And of course, the Latias EX ability Skyliner, making it so that even a boss's orders on one of these benched Pokemon won't matter. They can just retreat for free. It's just going to be Cruel Arrow over and over and over.
And there's really no other option for Neddy to power up an attack. I mean, he could build up to a Dusknoir. He gets 3 energy on that. He can Psychic Bind, and I think that's its attack name, right? Something along those lines. Stick a Pokemon in the active spot for a turn, like that Mega Kangaskhan. Shadow Bind, perhaps. That was
There you
close.
that was pretty good. Yeah, but I mean, the problem with that is it takes 3 turns to evolve into that as well.
Yeah, and he wasn't able to get a Duskull established earlier on in this game. Buddy Poffin could bring a pair down right now, but it's 3 turns away from attacking, 3 attachments as well. Crispin can aid a bit there. He's actually attaching perhaps to his own Pheasantipity EX. Much weaker against these full EX decks, like what James has brought this weekend, but
Welcome
what
to the
else can he
Pheasantipity
do?
finals.
Here we are indeed. Just mapping it out is Neddy. No rare candy to help get around this. No way to get into a Dragapult. Here is Buddy Poffin. Going to bring out 2 Pokemon, maybe the 2 Duskull.
And you have to feel for Neddy here. You don't want this to be the end of it. You're so close to being a champion, but there's just, what is the way out here? He's such a competitor. He's battled through such adversity throughout this weekend, throughout this event, but this might be too much to overcome at this point. He's going to keep looking for ways out. That is what a player of his caliber will do. But James, he knows this matchup inside and out. He knows the limitations of this Dragapult deck.
He has to know in this moment that he is but a few turns away from becoming the North American International Champion. The moment is going to start to feel real for him in these coming moments, but Neddy's not going to give up, not going to just hand it over. He's got a Night Stretcher in his hand. He will just pass now to James Kowalski. He's got energy in hand in order to start powering up his Clefairy. There is only 1 Crushing Hammer still remaining for Neddy. And there's that attachment for turn onto the Lily's Clefairy EX. No other supporters that James wants to play in the hand. Could fetch one out here with a Meowth EX and just set his board up with a Crispin, perhaps.
Yeah, funnily enough, I do think it will take several turns for James to close this out. Right now, he doesn't have anything powered up that really can knock out a Pheasantipity EX. He can continue to go after the Dreepy, the Dracloak as they come down. And that's probably going to be enough to close out the game. But, you know, if Neddy starts attacking with Pheasantipity, I don't think James has a way to get a one-hit knockout.
I don't think James would mind it too much, though.
Yes.
I don't even think, I mean, Latias is weak to dark, right? But it's got 210 HP. Cruel Arrow doesn't even knock it out in one hit.
Yeah, I don't think it applies. Does it apply weakness to the active? I can't remember.
Yeah, if it's in the active, it would apply the
just
weakness.
for bench Pokemon. All right, we do see another Cruel Arrow. Cloak goes down again.
And Prime Catcher added to James' arsenal from the prize cards. Neddy's final Crushing Hammer does fall heads. So he will remove the Psychic Energy from the Lily's Clefairy, but no Dracloaks in play, no Dreepies in play. He is going to play Crispin here for turn, bringing out a couple differing types of energy so he can get his Cruel Arrow lined up. There is that special red card. No unfair stamp available, but can still find a way to disrupt now that James has taken 3 prizes.
It is kind of funny. I don't know if James is going to have to start switching and just start targeting the Pheasantipity on the bench. I mean, you can see a very, very, very long shot way for Neddy to win if he can knock out James's Pheasantipity and he literally never draws another way to power up another attacker. The Crushing Hammer, I guess, helps a little bit in that regard.
Sure.
This will be, I guess, kind of a 3-hit knockout, 10 from the Itchy Pollen, and then 2 Cruel Arrows from the Pheasantipity EX.
Okay, hold on, Puka. It's a bit of a long shot, but not quite over just yet. There is a Crispin, though. Also, Wondrous Patch. Let's also remember that Meowth EX on the bench is a pretty easy 2-prize target. James could even just power up his Mega Kangaskhan EX and then use that rapid fire combo to guarantee the KO and the win. He's got Boss in hand. Here comes the Crispin.
Huge Crispin here. This might be it. Neddy is out of Crushing Hammers at this point. Powering up the Lily's Clefairy EX. If you can just Cruel Arrow hit Neddy's Pheasantipity, you can then follow up with the Full Moon Rondo to take it out, and Neddy won't have anything to attack with.
The Badoo absolutely not a threat here, so while it may seem simple for James, take out the Badoo, that's 1 prize. Take out one of these 2 prizes, that's 2 prizes. There's really no reason to do that. He could run into an unfair stamp from Neddy's side. We, of course, know it's prize. James does not, however, so perhaps he will just set up this damage. But no, actually will take out the Badoo. Goes down to just 2 prize cards remaining. Neddy sending up his Pheasantipity EX, drawing for turn. And with no disruption available, perhaps here, Puka, if he had at least his unfair stamp available, just maybe there's a way Neddy could have fought back in this one. But without that piece even available, this mountain may just be too tall to summit.
With the Lily's Clefairy EX powered up, it just seems like too much to overcome. We'll see what Neddy can do here.
The Lily's Clefairy, of course, weak to metal. It is not weak to dark, so a Cruel Arrow does not KO it. Were it weak to dark, maybe something could happen with a Jamming Tower, Boss's Orders play, but of course that is not available. Here will come a Dreepy. Neddy crossing his fingers for it to hang on. Here is a Crispin as well, bringing 2 energies of differing types out of the deck.
Didn't think we'd see this many Cruel Arrows in one game.
Here we are indeed. James has a game plan. He's been executing it. And he is just a couple of pieces away from potentially winning this game. He could win this turn by KOing the Meowth EX. He would need 1 more benched Pokemon and an Area 0 Underdepths, of course, and a Boss's Orders, and he would be able to bring up Meowth EX for his final 2 prizes.
Now, I wonder what Neddy will actually target with this Cruel Arrow. Could actually go after Lily's Clefairy, try to get a 2-hit knockout there.
Set up for something with the Jamming Tower to still get himself 2 prizes.
Yeah, it's got to be something crafty here. He's in a very deep hole.
Yeah, he cannot bench this Duskull as well because all James would need is Boss's Orders, and that would be the game.
Yep.
That does give him the necessary Pokemon in play in order to get a KO with the full Moon Rondo. 180 damage it would deal. As of now, to win on this turn, James does need Area 0 Underdepths and a Pokemon and a boss. 3 pieces, which is easier said than done. But at a minimum here, I mean, James obviously can just Cruel Arrow the Dreepy and still be in an incredible position. There it is, Cruel Arrow onto the active. Neddy targeting down that Pheasantipede. There is a basic Pokemon found here. And here's going to be the retreat.
This is going to be the game-ending play, I think, for James. You can full Moon Rondo, make it so that it almost doesn't matter what Neddy does here. It's going to be a 2-hit knockout.
Neddy has no way to heal this Pheasantipede, no way to remove it from play, and no way to deal with both the Lily's Clefairy and the Pheasantipede EX. He can get out a Dracloak, he can use Recon Directive, but that damage will remain in play, and at least one of these 2 Pokemon will as well. James can either Boss's Orders Pheasantipede should it move to the bench, or use Cruel Arrow to target it down, take away that final 50 HP.
Perhaps a fitting end is, you remember before the match, James said he had 3 words, full Moon Rondo, and that might be the final 3 words that he says to become champion, and there it is.
Neddy extends the hand, James Kowalski runs through the event and becomes the North American International Champion. This